All right, everyone, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive into the strategies you all use to stay focused and get things done.
Always a pleasure to be back, ready to unlock some next level focus.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it. We're tackling distractions today, those pesky things that always seem to pop up at the worst possible times. We asked you for your best tips, and you guys delivered.
Yeah, some great strategies in here, and we're going to take it a step further today. We're not just talking about what works, but the psychology behind W8 why it works.
Exactly. Because knowing the why can be just as powerful as knowing the what. So let's start with a classic, turning off those notifications. I'll admit, this one's a constant struggle for me.
Oh, I feel you. It's like a constant barrage on our brains,
Yeah.
right? But there's a reason why this tip is so popular. It's not just about reducing the noise, it's about how our brains actually process information.
Oh, tell me more. I'm fascinated by this stuff. So what's going on up there when we see that little notification pop up,
Yeah.
even if we don't engage with it right away?
Okay, so every time that happens, every ping, every little red dot, it creates what we call a context switch in our brains. We're pulled away from whatever we were focusing on and forced to redirect our attention.
Right.
And those little switches, even if they only last a few seconds, they take a toll. They drain our cognitive resources, making it harder to focus and ultimately get things done.
Wow, it's like our brain is a muscle, and those notifications are constantly making it do tiny little reps. No wonder we're exhausted.
Mhm.
So how do we create that mental space for deeper focus? A lot of you mentioned setting specific time blocks for tasks.
Yes. Time boxing. It's a game changer. And it all comes down to how our brains love structure. Think about it. Deadlines, schedules, even just knowing what to expect it helps us stay on track.
Yeah, totally. Like having a clear roadmap instead of just wandering around aimlessly.
Precisely. And there's a really interesting principle at play here called Parkinson's Law. It states that work expands to fill the time allotted for it.
Oh, I've heard of that. So if we give ourselves all day to do something, it'll probably take all day. But if we set a specific time block, we're more likely to stay focused and get it done faster.
Exactly. Time boxing creates those boundaries that our brains crave, making tasks feel less daunting and more achievable.
I love that. Now on to another common distraction culprit,
Yeah.
clutter. Seriously, who hasn't felt their stress levels rise when surrounded by a messy desk?
Oh, I'm right there with you. And it's not just in our heads. There's actually a scientific reason why clutter can sabotage our focus.
Oh, do tell.
Visual clutter, even if we don't consciously realize it, is constantly competing for our attention. Every item, every piece of paper, every knickknack, it all sends a signal to our brains.
It's like our brain is trying to process everything in our environment at once.
Exactly. And this creates what we call attention residue. It's like a little bit of our focus is stuck on each item, making it harder to concentrate on the task at hand.
Wow, that's fascinating and a little terrifying. So a clear workspace really does equal a clearer mind.
You got it. By creating a calm and organized environment, you're essentially removing those visual distractions and freeing up your mental bandwidth for more important things.
Music to my ears. Okay, another tip that came up a lot was tackling your most important tasks first thing in the morning. Why is that so effective? Is it just about getting it out of the way, or is there something more to it?
It's about momentum. When you start your day by conquering something challenging, it creates this incredible sense of accomplishment. It's like a mental victory that sets the tone for the rest of your day.
That makes sense. It's like you're telling your brain, we've got this.
Exactly. And that boost in motivation can spill over into other areas of your day, making you more likely to power through those less than thrilling tasks.
I love that, setting yourself up for a chain reaction of productivity. Okay, last but not least, we have to talk about technology, specifically productivity apps. It seems like there's an app for everything these days.
There really is. Time trackers, website blockers, focus music, you name it. And they can be incredibly helpful, but also a bit of a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, it's easy to become reliant on them. We can fall into the trap of thinking that the app alone will solve our focus problems. But the real magic happens when we use these tools strategically to build healthier habits.
Just it's about using them as a stepping stone, not a crutch.
Exactly. Think of them like training wheels for your brain. They provide structure and support while you're building up those internal focus muscles.
I love that analogy. Use them to get you going. But ultimately, the goal is to be able to focus without relying on them constantly. This has been incredibly insightful.
It's amazing what we can accomplish when we understand the why behind the what, right?
Absolutely. But it does make you think. We've talked a lot about silencing those external distractions. The pings, the clutter, the endless to-do lists. But what about the distractions that come from within? Those random thoughts that pop into your head at the most inconvenient times.
Ah, the internal chatterbox. That's a whole other deep dive waiting to happen. That's where mindfulness, meditation, and self-awareness come in. Learning to quiet those internal distractions can be a game changer when it comes to achieving true focus.
That's something to ponder. All right, everyone, that's all the time we have for today, but I hope this conversation has given you a lot to think about.
And hopefully some practical strategies to implement in your own lives.
Exactly. Until next time, stay focused out there.